My name is Zaramarian Frey. I am one of the founder members of PENHA, the Pastoral Environmental Network in the Horn of Africa.
My name is Harnat Bokresyon, and I've been the program officer for Eritrea and Sudan in PENHA. I've been working here in the organization for the last 10 years. I started as a researcher and then gradually worked my way up.
I'm Case Maxey. I'm a volunteer with PENHA. I have been a volunteer for probably 20 years since I retired, and I've known Zaramarian, who founded PENHA, for probably 30 years.
My name is Takle Ifisahaye. I worked for PENHA since 2007 as a finance officer. And the main job is, to oversee the finance or the accounts of the country chapters.
My name is Barakat Tasfagargis. I'm currently working with PENHA as a research and communication officer. I joined PENHA in 2010, which is recently, and my area of specialization is in development studies and public policy analysis.
PENHA is a regional African non-governmental organization. We operate in 5 countries, Uganda, Sudan, Somalia, Somaliland, Eritrea and Ethiopia, with a small office in the UK. The organization started by a group of Africans who were educated partly in Britain, partly in Africa, with very strong roots. We started the organization because it has an African origin, and we try to find problems, to solve problems for Africa with our own means. And the pastoral people in the Horn of Africa, 25 million of them, are a very strong group. They cross borders. They have particular problems in terms of lack of education, lack of infrastructure. And they also cross borders, and many of the governments do not take care of them in terms of policy. So we started to advocate on their behalf, because many of us are also sons and daughters of the pastoralist people in the Horn. They have an economy which keeps many of the countries going. So we set up in 1989 with a small office in the UK, but then we started many of our activities in East Africa and the Horn of Africa.
Well, in the beginning it was a very practical need. My plan was always to work in international development in Africa. And it's very, very hard to get into that kind of work. There's a lot of competition around. So I made contact with PENHA through someone I knew. And once I was in the organization, just the fact that they worked in the regional area where part of my family are coming from, that was a major attraction, because I could go back home to work there for my people. Yeah.
The reason I worked for PENHA and continue to work for it is because I think that the only way in which development in Africa will happen is by Africans doing it themselves. On the other hand, there's much wealth in countries like Britain, and I believe knowledge, and so supporting an African organisation in Britain working in Africa seemed to me to be a really important thing to do, and I feel it's a real privilege that I've been given to be welcomed and be part of PENHA and of the people here in Britain, as well as the many people I've met in the various parts of the Horn of Africa that I've had the privilege to meet.
We have got about 4 countries in which we are working in the Horn of Africa. One is Sudan, 2 Eritrea, 3 Uganda, and the 4th one is Somaliland. We work there. Our activities are active still. It's going on. It is very strong. We have got committed staff there. And my main job is to oversee, as I told you before, to check the finance part. And this is, we send money from here, the money that we have secured from our donors. And then we have to control it, we have to plan it, and there are also people who are assisting me on the ground, like the finance people, the project people, the administration, and so on.
Africa needs the help of its sons and daughters. So we have to work for Africa as an African here in UK. We have to contribute for our people to help, to support them, to alleviate poverty.
In Africa, you see, we have 4 major regions. There's the West Africa regions, there's Maghreb, North Africa, and the Southern Africa, and the Horn on East Africa. Those are the countries who have a long civilization's history, well connected across the borders, well before the colonial borders. These countries have a lot in common in terms of history, culture, heritage, and their peoples also cross borders and live together. And those countries include Eritrea, Ethiopia, Somalia, Uganda, Sudan, and Kenya. Our work primarily focuses on 3 areas. One is to carry out research, better understanding on the livelihood of these people from an African point of view, because much of the research before was done by Western professionals. We believe that we can bring an African perspective into understanding the challenging problems. And the second point is also we can do a lot more by working very closely to our governments. We can advocate, we can train the middle level staff in the ministries. So instead of being antagonistic to the local government, the ministries, we are now working with them and helping them to understand better the livelihood of these nomadic people. For example, if you take parliamentarians working in the nomadic areas and you bring them together, you can discuss issues like land tenure, land conflicts with these groups from different countries. And thirdly, we are also very practically minded. We set up projects, educational projects for the nomadic children in some countries. We help them to organize themselves as members of the civil society, so we provide them with legal aid, for example. We help them also to fund special projects for women in improving their livelihood, their fodder, for example, production of fodder, production of alternative sources of energy, and so forth. So we operate at 3 levels, and we are all Africans at all these 3 levels.
Well, women have always been a big focus of PENHA's policy and PENHA's work. And also some of our funders, mainly, for example, Oxfam Novib, who are the Oxfam branch in the Netherlands, are very, very focused on women issues in Africa. And they've been our main funders for those 2 countries. So given that relationship with Oxfam, we focused a lot on including pastoralist women in our projects very actively. That means we, for example, provided training programs attended by women only, or if we have consultation sessions, we do extra consultation with the women only, because often if they mix up with men, they keep quiet, they listen in, but they don't voice their needs or the issues that are of particular importance to them. So we've been sensitive towards their needs and try to respond to their particular needs as women.